Palestinian health officials say Israeli strikes in Gaza killed at least 6 people, including 2 children, during overnight attacks. Among the victims were 2 sisters, 4-year-old Zina and 14-year-old Lana, whose lives were cut short after an apartment building in Gaza City was struck. At local hospitals, grieving relatives gathered around the children's bodies, struggling to understand the loss. One family member, who was also injured,
واسنانها
said the
اتكسروا
strike came without
وزي ما انت
warning.
شايف الشهداء، وهذا وقف اطلاق النار اللي بيحكوا عنه ايش؟ الاحتلال
Despite previous ceasefire efforts between Israel and Hamas, military operations have continued across Gaza, with residents facing daily uncertainty. Health officials in Gaza say more than 1,000 Palestinians have been killed since the previous ceasefire agreement, although casualty figures remain difficult to independently verify in all cases. Behind every number is a home destroyed, a child lost, or a family waiting for peace. And while civilians continue paying the price of war, diplomats are once again trying to stop the violence. U.S. and Iranian negotiators have returned to the negotiating table in Switzerland, hoping to finalize key details of an interim agreement aimed at ending months of conflict and preventing a wider regional war. The talks come as tensions remain extremely high. Iran announced that it had closed the Strait of Hormuz following Israeli military operations in Lebanon, raising concerns about global shipping routes and energy supplies. The Strait of Hormuz remains one of the world's most important waterways, carrying a significant portion of the world's oil supply. President Donald Trump responded by warning that if a final agreement is not reached within 60 days, the United States could impose tolls in the waterway while negotiators continue working toward a broader agreement. Vice President J.D. Vance traveled to Switzerland, expressing optimism that progress could be made regarding Iran's nuclear program and efforts to reduce fighting in southern Lebanon. Officials say the proposed agreement could involve sanctions relief, the release of frozen Iranian assets, and measures intended to ensure that Iran does not develop nuclear weapons. But despite diplomatic progress, serious disagreements remain. Iranian officials have warned that if commitments are not honored, the entire agreement could collapse. Meanwhile, the fighting along the Israel-Lebanon border continues to add to the region's suffering. Lebanese officials report additional civilian deaths, including parents and children, killed during strikes in southern villages. The death toll from the latest Israel-Hezbollah conflict has now surpassed 4,000 people, according to Lebanon's health ministry. Residents on both sides of the border continue living under uncertainty. Some Lebanese families say a ceasefire would completely change their lives. Meanwhile, residents in northern Israel remain skeptical that peace will hold. For many civilians caught between diplomacy and war, the outcome of these negotiations is no longer simply a political issue. It is about survival, safety, and the hope of returning to normal life. As these stories continue to develop, one reality remains clear. Diplomatic agreements may be signed in measures intended to ensure that Iran does not develop nuclear weapons. But despite diplomatic progress, serious disagreements remain. Iranian officials have warned that if commitments are not honored, the entire agreement could collapse, instability or renewed conflict. Our commitment at the American Report remains simple: bringing you verified facts, important context, and balanced reporting without speculation. Thank you for joining us on the American Report. For more trusted news, in-depth coverage, and the latest updates from around the world, be sure to subscribe to the American Report. It's absolutely free.